spook easily startled.
Have you ever explored the depths of fear? Have you ever wondered what depravity dwells within the imagination of a storyteller that prompts them to exhume horrors untold and expose those horrors to unsuspecting audiences? Some are repulsed, and some are shaken. However, there are those who are invigorated. So to those demented souls, we invite you to journey inward into the dark bowels of human imagination. Press play, and you will discover what's in the podcast. And welcome back to another edition of What's in the Podcast. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we have hit a milestone. I have been told many times that typically for anyone who always starts up a podcast and they say like, oh, I'm going to hit it big. I've heard that most people, when they try to do it, they quit after 8 episodes. Some people, if they're tenacious, usually 20. I guess I may just be either bored out of my mind or delusional as hell, because here we are at 150 episodes of What's in the Podcast. That is something I did not think I would stick to doing for so long, that we have gotten to this point. Now, technically, probably we've had a lot more than 150 episodes, but officially, as with the numbered episodes, we are at 150. And with that, I was trying to think what would be the best way to celebrate it. Well, I just thought back to the very first episode, which I will tell you now, I can't go back to listen to again. It's just weird. It feels wrong that I did a solo fan commentary of Basket Case. And it's funny, in 150 episodes, you'd think I would have done more episodes focusing on other of Henenlotter's movies, but yet no. So for today, we are going to have a Maestros of Mayhem saluting everything Henenlotter. To do that, I am bringing on board someone whose knowledge of exploitation films dwarfs my own, and I would even take bets. He would probably give good competition to both Bill Lustig and even Henenlotter himself. Maybe, possibly. I think so. I'm confident. Yeah. Meh, you think so? Maybe. All right. Well, you know him. You are legally obligated to love him. It is Jorge Palacios Kindelan. Welcome back.
Thank you. Please don't get up. Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here. Thank you. I'm happy to join you in your insanity and boredom, sir.
Oh, yeah. Insanity, boredom. Well, some people go insane because they're bored, and some people go bored because they're insane. So,
a little bit of both.
A little bit of both, indeed. So, yeah. Originally we had planned to have Brian on board, but unfortunately, something happened. I mean, who knows? He may still be able to chime in like at any time soon. But in any case, I've got you here now, and I wanted you on this because you and me, and even Brian, hosted a great panel at Spooky Empire on this, which was fantastic. But of course, we were bound by the confines of 1 hour, so I always felt that we needed to go deeper into the world of Henenlotter. So.
And it was a fun podcast when we did it. I mean, it was really fun in the moment. I had my partner there, and we had a bunch of strangers hanging out. There was a dog.
A guy with a dog who was actually quite a lovely person. I even remember after we were done, we had a great conversation with the guy afterwards, just shooting the shit and talking.
So that's actually the husband of my tattoo artist. And
oh, really?
That my tattoo artist was there for work.
Oh, well, yeah, well, that's fair, because for anyone who's in the market for a good tattoo, and you love a good horror con, Spooky Empire does have an incredible tattoo artist alley. In fact,
good deals too.
Yeah, in some cases. I mean, Spooky is coming up, and I have been actively considering getting maybe a small tattoo, maybe a little small something, maybe the ghost insignia, or maybe even just to match Lynn. Lynn has the Thorn Cult insignia.
You have to commit. You have to go full hardcore with your horror love, John. Like, I gotta cover your arms and your chest with horror icons. Come on.
Yeah, but I shudder
the pain.
Oh yeah. Oh no, maybe one day on my chest I'll do like Hannibal Lecter's prison number, or but I was always thinking like for Henenlotter representation, like if there's there's 2 tattoos I was thinking of getting for Henenlotter representation. On my back shoulder blade, one of Belial's babies from Basket Case 3 hanging off my back. Or, and if I would really want to be hardcore, down my spine with a little bit peeking up from my neckline, Aylmer, like a full
That's the only one. That's the only one you need to get. That's go hardcore or go home.
Oh yeah, just and people would be like, "What the hell's coming up, peeking out of your necklines?" Yeah, like that would be say today's splendid. That would be so wonderful. So going into our respective love of Henenlotter, I mean, of course, you are our guest, so you go ahead and tell everyone where your love of Henenlotter began.
I think my love of Henenlotter started because of the video store. Like a lot of us, that basket case cover was always around. Uh,
Hmm.
Oddly enough, I didn't rent it until I started college. One of the things that my experience in college was not great, but one thing that I can say that was great was the film department library, because it had all kinds of film books. One of them was the Incredibly Strange Films book, which is the book that was kind of my gateway to exploitation world. And it had the first chapter is an interview on Frank Henenlotter, and he talks about it's basically like that was when he only had one movie, which was Basket Case, and it had just come out, and he's talking about how he did it by like basically like pittance and robbing locations, which we can talk about later. Um, and but also he talks a lot about his love for exploitation movies and how he uh like had Herschel Gordon Lewis in his house once, and Herschel Gordon Lewis sang to him the 2000 Maniacs theme, which is the real image.
Yeah, the rebel yell,
Yeah,
yeehaw!
for
What?
the sun's gonna rise again. Uh,
That could be a musical right
yeah,
there.
that should be a musical.
Yeah. And it would
Somebody write
have to be produced in Florida too. Had to be produced that in Florida because that is a Florida.
That's a Florida original horror movie. All the locations are now Walt Disney. So yeah.
Go figure. That's wild. Okay, so
Anyway, so yeah, then eventually I did rent it like soon after I read that book, and yeah, I've been hardcore about it ever since.
mhm. Yeah, I kind of came in on Henenlotter with the back end. For those for reference, my first exposure to Henenlotter, I used to have a show on my YouTube channel called Rare Delicacies. It was a show where we would spotlight obscure gems of films that either just never got the love originally or just kind of fell into obscurity for one reason or another. And for Halloween, my friend Logan Donahue, who most people know from our Sleepaway Camp commentary, our Nightbreed commentary, he provided me with Frankenhooker for the first time. And if you watch that video, you will see my organic, right on the spur of the moment reaction to seeing Frankenhooker for the very, very first time. And I was in love. I was so madly in love with this bonkers ass movie. And the thing is, the movie grabs you from the first frame of film when you have a brain with an eyeball staring right back at you. Immediately you're going, whoa, what the fresh fuck is going on? And then it just ups the insanity even more when a woman comes into the kitchen asking for ketchup, which just happens to be on the table next to the brain. Immediately I'm going, okay, where is this movie taking me? This is like way before we even get to the exploding hookers. It's and Frank Henenlotter, bless him, to this very day, has said like that he wants that on his tombstone. He always said he wanted. He's like, here lies Frank Henenlotter. He killed 6 hookers in a hotel room.
I mean, if you're gonna have anything in your tombstone, why not have something that's kind of true?
Yeah, yeah, it is kind of true. So after that, I'd always been trying to find like where I could watch all the other ones. Of course, Fast Case and Brain Damage. Finally, during COVID, during the quarantine, almost like the gods handed it to me, but Joe Bob showed Brain Damage
Yeah.
that night, and again, just was blown away by this film. I did not expect this movie about a phallic blue parasite would actually be a very profound and very well executed portrayal of drug addiction. And then finally finished the triumvirate, watched Basket Case, and then I was like going, this is my new favorite filmmaker. And then when I looked into the behind the scenes history of Basket Case and finding out what Frank Henenlotter did in order to get that movie made, I was like, oh, this guy represents everything that is wonderful about low budget, not just horror filmmaking, but low budget filmmaking, period. So
Yeah.
now, to me, to this very day, he is now my favorite filmmaker, bar none, no question, no contest.
Like all time.
Pretty much. And I love a lot of great filmmakers, but he's just the one that kind of represents the rebel spirit that to me. Now, granted, he considers himself an exploitation filmmaker through and through. That's he I mean, he doesn't balk at the idea of being called a horror filmmaker, but he openly says, "My roots are in exploitation. That's where I come from." And that's the kind of movies I was making. It's just by coincidence that they fall neatly into the realm of horror.
They do mention. I did remember seeing a podcast interview with him years ago where he did talk about how when Basket Case was a hit, he got all kinds of offers to do Nightmare sequels and Freddy sequels. I mean, he just wasn't interested, and it's kind of. I mean, I don't. I respect it. At the same time, I'm like, man, you could have gotten so much money to make more movies. But I get it. You know, it is what it. You know, he's a guy of principle. He wants to make the movies that he wants to make, and that's pretty fucking cool. You know.
Yeah, and well, all things considered, the ideas he probably would have brought to the table on those respective franchises, I'm pretty sure would have been so outrageous that I don't know if if one, two things would have happened. He would have been so malcontented that the movie just would not have turned out that great, just because he would have just been like, "Oh God, this shit."
Yeah.
Or alternatively, he probably would have been kicked off the movie because everyone would have been like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?"
I think we missed out on some really fucked up nightmare sequences in a Nightmare on Elm Street movie directed by Frank Henenlotter.
Well, especially after you watch
So,
Brain Damage and you watch
yeah,
the amazing hallucination sequences that movie has, and yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
we missed out. We missed out on something, but you know, I get it. He wants to make his own movies. He considers himself an exploitation filmmaker first and foremost. So yeah,
hmm Oh yeah, absolutely through and through. And it's not something he just adopted just because it was hip. I always kind of lovingly call him the bastard child of 42nd Street because in his youth, he he would go like in his off time, he would go to the Grindhouse theaters on 42nd Street and he would watch like back to back to back like any movie that was playing at that time. It didn't matter if it was good or not. He was watching every single one of them, and the quality ranged. Sometimes of course it was something like momentous, but then it was like some cheap exploitation film that he was watching.
you know, it's almost kind of legendary how people romanticize 42nd Street and that era of films
hmm
for good reason, even though it was a very dangerous area where a lot of us probably wouldn't have been able to deal with it being there for too long. Uh,
Oh yeah.
but it is amazing how romanticized it is, especially after like that time Grindhouse came out. Um, there are only like a few people left alive that actually went through that era. Frank being one of them, and it is like he didn't need film school. He was going to films obsessively the way a lot of people do in France and New York City.
Mhm.
Only his films weren't like the usual art house stuff, or his stuff was like going to see horror movies with kung fu movies and porno. It's yeah, that was his film school, you could say.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're bringing up the not the romanticizing of 42nd Street because the one thing, I mean, aside from the fact that he is just one of my favorite filmmakers, another reason why I consider him as such is that everyone makes a big deal of filmmakers like, Woody Allen or Martin Scorsese or all these filmmakers who make New York like such a major character in their movies, but they always seem to show either a caricature of New York or some idealized, romanticized version of New York. Frank Henenlotter, I remember I immediately picked up on this when I saw Frankenhooker the first time. He is the only filmmaker I've ever encountered that has absolutely no problem showing the real New York, like the real New York of that era that was sketchy as fuck, that had absolutely, that you, at the second you walk out, you're immediately cornered by someone trying to offer you like a whole plethora of illicit substances like all throughout. I mean, that first shot of New York in Basket Case where Dwayne is walking down the sidewalk and that pusher is like trilling off all the different drugs he's got on him. I was like, and per my interview with Kevin, he said that was entirely scripted, but it felt real. Like so many people thought that that was just someone who just came up to Kevin while he was filming, not, and they just said, roll it, just keep rolling, just keep rolling. It's like, no, that was scripted. It just felt real.
It does feel. I mean, New York was a very dangerous place back then. You really like if you like Times Square was especially dangerous, and you really took your life on the line if you really wanted to see these kinds of movies. But it's like you said, the basket case really captures that grimy, seedy area from like the porno theater scene to the well, it's not a porno theater. They're watching a movie, but yeah, when they go to the movies and
Yeah, the kung fu
well,
hit.
attacks the guy in the bathroom. I mean, all that grimy shit that you see there, the streets. It was real. You know, that was the reality of New York City before it became absolutely gentrified and too expensive to live in. Disneyfied, you
Yeah.
could say.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Um, well, and the thing is, Frank wasn't doing it like for any sort of artistic reason. It wasn't even anything intentional. He just did it because it was he didn't have the budget to clear the streets or anything like that. So a lot of his shots in all of his movies, in fact, are stolen shots more often.
Especially one in particular that I'm always like the balls that these people had, but we'll get there.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure
Speaking
you know which one I'm talking about when I say
of,
balls. But
well, yeah, you say balls. Yeah, of course. Oh yeah, and incidentally, everyone, for reference, for a lot of stuff we talked about, definitely check out my interview that I did with Kevin VanHentenryck, where he does get into a lot of the production history on this. But we will happily revisit, mention a lot of that here. Uh, but the thing is, Frank, because of his sensibilities and just because of his um, renegade spirit, he had no problem showing off what well we're kind of getting a little funny enough we're getting a little ahead prior to
yeah,
basket
maybe,
case.
yeah. Let's yeah. You're the host. Pull the reins.
Yeah, exactly. We're well before that, before he even got to that point, he ended up getting like the early funding for basket case from the success he got from a short film which ended up showing before some John Waters films called Slash of the Knife.
Yes, I've heard of these movies. He mentioned it in that book that I told you about. I actually have a copy that I years later bought on eBay of
Yeah, the
strange films.
yeah, it's a short about it's kind of like a mock um like in and these were popular in the grindhouse circuit, but there were always these kind of mock informative sexploitation films that were kind of like pretending to be documentaries, but they were all like kind of sexy.
Oh,
This,
that's a whole genre right there.
yeah, well, Frank made a kind of parody of it, kind of talking about the horrors that come from an uncircumcised penis. And one could even say that one could probably say that that was like an early prototype for what would inevitably come bad biology later on, because the whole joke of it is the idea of how people are terrified of the sight of an uncircumcised dick. So and I think if memory
Really?
serves,
Yeah,
and
no
yeah,
comment.
and it ends with a dick, and much like bad biology, it ends with a dick going on a rampage.
That's
And
funny.
whip
Oh, I
and whip.
love that he released those movies on there. I know he had one called Son of Psycho. Um, and I don't know what these are about. I just know because they have a picture of them in the book. It's something about like he did a gorilla movie, which I mean, because everybody has to make a gorilla movie once in their life.
Oh
And,
yeah,
yeah,
it's every playbook, y'all.
and yeah, so I would love to see these short films that he made before Basket Case, but
Well, you can. Oh, Slash the Knife is on the Arrow Video Blu-ray.
oh, I never noticed. Okay,
Yeah, it is on there, so you can easily watch it there. But in that documentary, that's where Kevin VanHentenryck is in. He plays some ensemble parts in the movie. Same thing with Diana Brown, who played Dr. Cutter in Basket Case. She's in the movie in the short as well.
okay.
Yeah. So it was yeah, much like any low budget filmmaker, you find the actors you work with. If you know you can work with them really, really well, cast them. That's what there is to it. Now, in my interview with Kevin, he said around this point he was really starting to get heavy into sculpting, but he definitely did not want to turn down the prospect of getting a really good role like Dwayne. So,
Hmm.
so he definitely jumped at the opportunity to make that movie when it came out.
Did he ever make anything outside of Frank Henenlotter films?
To my knowledge, no, because he pretty much committed 100% to sculpting. He won.
Okay.
Yeah, he pretty much committed to it 100%. And since we are talking about Kevin, and just to make sure that everyone knows about it, go to he hosts in the Catskills, he hosts a free sculpting seminar where people can come and actually and learn how to do sculpting. It's called the Free Hunterstone Carving Seminar. I think it's free HCS, yeah, hscs.com, something like that. So everyone go there, check that out if you want to get up there and learn to do some sculpting from a man who famously made a incredible Rip Van Winkle installment.
Hmm.
Yeah, which yeah. So around that point, Kevin really kind of committed 100% to sculpting around that point, but his heart will always belong to Dwayne and to Basket Case. At this point, let's go ahead and just kind of focus on Basket Case on the whole. Now, this was a movie that Frank Henenlotter, he just wanted to make the movie, like, as we've said before, he wanted to make a movie that he just wanted to see with the crazy shit that he wanted to see in it. And this is a movie that was never going to get funding to begin with. But for you, what do you think it is about that? And this is the one that everyone still considers to be his like most I hate this word, but iconic work. What do you think it is about Basket Case that makes that like the quintessential Henenlotter film?
Well, first of all, the title's a pun, and you can never go wrong when your title's a pun.
Mm-hmm.
Second, the I just think it's the atmosphere of the movie. It's just like we talk about. It's just it feels really grimy, it feels really surreal, but it's also kind of it's got a plot that the movie can be silly, but it's also got scenes where it's scary. Um, it has really cool like energy, like, and I don't know. It's just really a great example of independent filmmaking, in my opinion. You know, I think that word independent movie, a lot of people consider it with other directors like early Spike Lee or Jim Jarmusch, but I don't know. To me, Basket Case is way more than in the trenches in the filmmaking world. So I think that's why it appeals. And plus, it's got really, like I said, it's got a really cool gore and a really cool monster. You know, you can never go wrong when you have a cool monster.
You do have a cool monster, and it's kind of wild, like some of the credentials in that movie that went on to do big things. I mean, famously, John Caglione Jr. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
he worked on this film, but he went on to huge things down the line. He won an Oscar for Dick Tracy. He ended up working on the Joker makeup for The Dark Knight.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, he ended up doing big things down the line, but started here with Basket Case. I mean, that's like the craziest. The and with the budgetary limitations on that one, that the project ended up passing from one person to another. Now, hilariously, Frank Henenlotter, he still has the Belial puppet. He still has it in his
Yeah,
apartment, and I've seen
I,
the picture. Huh?
I have seen pictures.
Yeah, it looked funny enough. It looks in better shape than the Hoggle uh, animatronic from Labyrinth. So I think Frank's been doing a better job keeping that.
I saw a video of Tom Savini's basement in the early '90s that had the crate monster from Creepshow
Oh,
just
Fluffy.
falling apart. Yeah, and I was like, man, he looks like shit. Why does Belial look so good in comparison? Is it the New York apartment atmosphere conditioner or what is? I don't know what it is.
Possibly, possibly. Oh yeah. And there was kind of a wacky thing about his audacity when he made that particular movie. The way, of course, I mean, we might as well just talk about it because we've been alluding to it anyway. But the
Mm.
fact that he just because, and he did it entirely for budgetary limitations. He had a whole other idea of having animations of Belial skittering down a New York street, but he knew that logistically, budget wise, was not going to work. So he came up with the abstract concept of having Kevin VanHentenryck run naked down the street, which is a much better and much more interesting way to do it. But just
It
the
really
way,
it really captures like that idea that this maybe because they're twins,
yeah,
so this is how Belial sees himself.
hmm yeah, because yeah, you're 100% right. That was always it was always such a. It's funny that you think that there would be that it would be out of character for a movie to go this abstract, but then you're like, no, if you remember everything that came before,
if you're smart, you'll realize what's happening here, like even beforehand, because it's like, well, wait a minute, he's running down the street, but why am I seeing Dwayne in bed right now? So
Yeah.
if you're smart, you're making the connection, you're realizing, oh shit, this is Belial running down this street. And apparently making good time for a little meatball with arms.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I
Honestly, like just imagining running barefoot down that New York City street makes me want to kind of like barf a little. But it,
according to Kevin, I think they said they cleaned that at the very least they cleaned the street.
okay,
No, they apparently they swept the
at
street
least.
for safety's sake. I think they did sweep it, but then, but yeah, in order for them to do that sequence for those who missed out on the previous podcast, we talked about it. They almost in a very precise way. They had one van at one end where, and they're off, where Kevin runs out, in
Hmm.
front. But then they had the other van at the end with it wide open, and this was in the middle of February too.
God, New
Yeah.
York winter.
Yeah, and you know what, Kevin, if you ever hear this, February and there was no shrinkage, good on you, man.
We're proud of you, man.
We're very proud of you. You're someone to aspire to. Amazing hair and amazing everything else. Right there. But but they would have, and they did this, I think they said they did it at least a couple times when they were able to get all the shots they needed beforehand, but they were able to do it fast, they were able to do it quick, and they were out of there before anyone even noticed because they also shot it like in the dead of night, like around like 2 a.m., uh, like 2 to 3 a.m., like on that on the, and they made sure to, I think they were even meticulous about which New York street they chose. I think it was in Tribeca where they filmed.
I mean, it's still pretty ballsy, no pun intended, because it is like right in the middle of the street on New York City. So
Mhm.
even if
Oh
it's
yeah.
2 in the morning, and like you say, it just adds a different vibe to the scene because a lot of the movie before that is like more like a fun slashery monster movie. I think right there, and then the following scene, which is the rape scene,
Yeah.
it just kind of, I don't know, something like the tone kind of shifts slightly in the film, which I know a lot of people don't like that. I think it's cool. I like when movies do that, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, I will say this. We are well versed in this particular world, like especially the world of exploitation films. But even then, in fact, I'm doing a whole bunch of referring to previous episodes I've done because we've tackled it. But in our essay on essay, we did make mention of this particular rape scene. Uh,
Hmm.
and the major thing about this one is that because they set up why this is happening and the fact that it tracks for Belial's character that this is happening. It's one of those things that made sense. And according to Kevin, Terry Susan Smith, Kevin himself, and Frank, they were all on the same page. They were all like, this makes sense for what's going on in the movie. Unfortunately, a lot of the crew were not vibing with it, and inevitably,
There
uh,
was a lot.
yeah, and a lot of them walked off
Yeah.
during filming that scene.
I don't know what to say. I mean, it's uh movie.
Mm.
I don't know. It's a complicated matter because it is a film crew. You'd think that they'd be ready for what's getting shot during the day.
This
I don't know. It's a I don't know. I find it a hard topic to talk about because it is such a touchy kind of thing.
it's
I do feel like they should have been a little more prepared about. I mean, because
at
it's
the very least
a
read the
movie, you
script.
know. I mean,
At least read the script,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, what kind of what exactly you think you're making here? You know.
Yeah, precisely. I mean, though there's also, well, I think another thing that was a turnoff for them was when Frank insisted on having like a pool of blood over Terry Susan Smith's naughty bits under Belial, like during that part. I think that was a major like walkout moment, like saying, "Oh my God, you can't put all that blood down there. That's terrible," kind of thing. I know that was a major part.
I mean, as if the actress is comfortable with it, I don't know what.
Yeah, and apparently she was, so that
If
wasn't.
she is, I actually think that putting a bunch of blood in there will probably make it look less. realistic than the usual rape scenes, but
Yeah, well, I mean,
I mean, so
it kind of makes you wonder what
it's
the
a
hell
cat.
kind of it
He
makes.
does have teeth and it's a monster. So
Yeah, he's a monster. I mean, I'm like going. I'm terrified to find out what he's got down there. I mean,
actually,
I mean, I just recently watched Teeth, and I was
oh,
like,
great.
yeah, and I was like going, he doesn't have vaginal dentata down there, does she? Does he?
He has the opposite. He has the male version.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
Bad
well,
biology there.
oh, geez, he's got a spider's dick, like or a praying mantis dick, or whatever the hell they call
Yeah.
it. Yeah, or one of those. I know that there's some with the spiny dick that like actually
Oh,
does.
like a cat. Yeah, just full
Yeah,
spikes. Just yeah.
yeah, that's nasty. That's nasty. But this renegade spirit of the filmmaking, this didn't just stop when the camera stopped rolling on Basket Case. I mean, this carried over into the promotion of the film. I mean, this film was able to get screened at Cannes, and probably one of the greatest moments that really defined Frank Henenlotter as a renegade. Only two critics attended that screening, and these two would pretty much change the course of Frank Henenlotter's life. The first one, of course, being Rex Reed. After the screening was done, Rex Reed left the theater, and Frank Henenlotter walked up to him and said, "What do you think of the movie?" And Rex Reed screams, "This movie is sick!"
That's like
And,
it.
and Rex Reed never wrote a review of it, but that didn't stop Frank Henenlotter from putting a big blurb on the poster saying, "This movie is sick," quotes Rex Reed. And Rex Reed was not happy about that, was not happy at all. But the second critic who was there for that screening was Joe Bob Briggs.
Hmm.
Yeah. And he saw the movie as it was always meant to be. But when the movie was finally getting distribution, in order to sell it, the producers kept insisting that they try to recut it to make it look like a comedy, and as a result, neutered the film.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. And the film just did no business. But then Joe Bob, remembering the movie and loving the movie, wanted to screen the movie at a drive-in festival in Texas. And said to Frank, and he heard that they cut down the movie, and he said to Frank, actually, he said to the producers, "I will not screen this movie until you put the damn money shots back in." And in the rare instance, the producers acquiesced. The movie was cut back to the way it was, and then it became a massive underground hit. It stayed
Yes.
screening at the Waverly for like 2 years after it premiered.
One thing I have to add, adding to this success story of Basket Case, uh, for one thing that Frank Henenlotter doesn't get a lot of credit as, but should, was an innovator in video distribution. He back then almost nobody owned videotapes because they cost about from $150 to $80. Everybody rented.
Oh yeah, it was crazy.
But I think in 1983, 84, he was like, why don't we do this? Why don't we put the uncut version for $20? Why not? I mean,
Yeah,
what's the worst that can happen? I mean, everybody's renting it, man. I mean, why not put it like just for $20? This is $20 in 1985, so it would still be about $40, but still,
yeah,
it's pretty cheaper compared to like the usual VHS tapes. And it was another like super fucking huge hit. People they didn't think that people wanted to own movies, but yeah, people want to own movies, and it was one of the earliest examples of movies that were affordable to own, and
yeah.
it made him very, very wealthy. He was able to buy an apartment in Times Square, which he still lives in.
Hmm.
He hasn't been affected by all the raised rents, so good for him.
Yeah, good on him. And obviously that was able to get him enough credit to finally get his next. Though reports are sketchy at this point. On one side, Henlotter always said he wanted to do a he always wanted to do I think he said he always wanted to do a Faustian story. He always wanted to do a deal with the devil
Mm.
movie, something like that. But there was also alternating reports that Frank Henlotter at this point had developed a bit of a cocaine addiction. And and it was said that his next movie was a lot of it about his experience of getting off of it.
Yeah.
And again, this is entirely rumor. I'd love to actually talk with Frank to actually see if this is true or not. Then again, I may not ask. You don't want to dig up personal demons, but but it's been rumored that that was the route that led to his next film, Brain Damage. Now, Subjectively, I would say, Basket Case may be, everyone's favorite Henenlotter movie, but for me, myself, I would say objectively, just in terms of how well the movie's made, in terms of the story, in terms of the acting, in terms of the visuals, in terms of the originality, I would say Brain Damage is objectively his best movie.
I agree with you 100%. I prefer Brain Damage over Basket Case. It is much more ambitious. It has a lot more to say. It's a great allegory for drugs and the AIDS crisis. Uh,
Hmm.
and it's just really good movie from every standpoint. Like like every production thing that was on Basket Case, it get improved to 10, from the acting to the creature effects to the script. It's just a really great movie. I feel like I would say it's very underrated in the world of cinema. Like
Yeah.
it really deserves to be known as a great film.
Yeah, I mean, people love Basket Case, and I've noticed a remarkable recent upswing in love for Frankenhooker recently. But yeah, it does kind of make me sad that Brain Damage she keeps kind of getting thrown by the wayside. That's why I kind of represent with my cosplay that I
Hmm.
do, but because to me, I think it's like that one is just as great and deserves just as much recognition. And frankly, I would even say even more so because again this is a film that is much more polished, much more confidently made. But even then, I never feel like Frank is compromising his style. Like I never feel like he's holding back
Oh
anything.
no, not at all. It's still a full-on exploitation film. I mean, it just comes from another angle. I mean, we do
Yeah,
from more full frontal male nudity in this movie, though.
yeah. Well, I mean, there's definitely something phallic in it, but it's definitely not an actual dick per se. But it's
Oh, I think about that. I mean, I'm getting a little ahead of this with, but I always think of this scene because there's a scene where he is in a public bathroom, and
oh yeah,
Toro and um,
yeah,
or is there taking a shower. This time playing a nice guy, but
yeah.
he
Well, and
really like linger on his body, and I was like, I know what you're saying, Frank. Don't worry, I get it.
And you know what? I dig that. I definitely agree with the principle equal rights means equal sights. And I'm like going, you know what? If we're gonna have a bunch of exploitation films, like off the top of my head, I mean, it did kind of give me Slumber Party Massacre vibes, like especially like the beginning in the montage in the girls' shower. It was reminding me a lot of that. So it was kind of cool that Frank decided to have this whole sequence where Brian is, you know, scrutinizing this very impressively jacked dude who's actually kind of nice, just saying like, dude, you're cool here,
Yeah,
nothing weird here.
yeah, just minding his own business.
Yeah, and it was also kind of eye-opening because yeah, I mean these kind of rundown little hotels would have these public rest or public showers.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's like I suppose again, I feel
it,
bad. I've never actually been to New York, so I would always love to know. Like, I wonder if a lot of the mentality, like the pride people have for New York, is the way that these people are able to live in these kind of close quarters in these kind of derelict places and have these kind of like obvious interactions in public restrooms like this. I'm like going, they would have to be insanely comfortable with each other in order to do that.
was a different time. I mean, New York City was like that, and great art was able to come out of those squalid types of locations. But like there was a lot of really good underground film at that time in New York City outside of Frank Henenlotter. That was the time of the New York No Wave movement. Guys like Richard Kurt and Lydia Lunch and Nick.
Mhm.
But um, it is also I do love that scene because it is kind of like the male gaze, but from a gay standpoint. And I know the main character isn't at any point we're never told that he's gay or anything, but the fact that he's so much more preoccupied with this drug and ignoring his girlfriend more and more. I don't know. I feel like there's something there that you can read if you want to read into it.
Well, you know what? That's a kind of a revelatory little thing you're alluding to here when you think
You've
about.
never thought about that?
Never thought about it like that because when you do think about what people do for a fix or what
Yeah.
people like, I mean, I've always heard, I mean, of course, jokingly, like a lot of times, like other like sitcoms and like that, you always have like the crack addict who will say like, I'll suck your dick for a for a rock or something like that. It's like this is kind of the same thing. Is like, what this guy this guy is Brian going to interact with this muscle bound soapy Adonis
Hmm.
all for the sake of getting close to him so he can feed him to Aylmer, it that for all intents and purposes, so he could slip him his big blue phallus, you know.
Yeah, and he will do it. I mean, I've sadly I've known people who do things like that for drugs, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, I think you kind of yeah, that's really, really good.
well,
Yeah, good job. Yeah. You know what? It's not that far off. It's not that weird of an idea. So, I mean, because yeah, there are people who will do crazy shit for a fix. And the great thing about this movie is that you see Brian really go through those motions. You see him enjoying the initial high, but then inevitably just and he thinks it's like the greatest thing in the world, but then you start seeing like he starts beginning to Jones for it, and then inevitably he gets so bad he goes into blackout mode where he doesn't realize what he did the night
yeah,
before. I mean, and then just it gets to the point where it becomes a dependency, and the whole sequence where he tries to go cold turkey. I mean, I've seen that sequence done in so many other movies where they always try to be graceful about the portrayal of withdrawal symptoms. But I love that Frank, no, doesn't, his version of showing withdrawal is a load of bodily fluids in different shape, way, or form, like whether it be blood spewing out the ear or just a cavalcade of vomit. And
yeah.
then we get
Uh,
Airless too.
it- Withdrawal is a very disgusting, painful process. It's there is the only other movie I can think of that is as realistic about his portrayal from withdrawal that I've seen is a movie, German movie called Christian F, which is it's about teenage junkies.
Uh-huh.
And they go through withdrawal, and it's all like sweat and vomit and feces, and it's very unpleasant. Like
Mhm.
it should be shown like that. It's kind of I hate nothing but gets me more upset than seeing a movie that glamorizes drugs.
Mhm.
It's I hate when people in movies when people act like drugs are cool, and it's like I'd rather you show me something that's unpleasant and barely on almost unwatchable than some like glamorous. Oh, I'm at the Betty Ford clinic, and I I have my one night of pain, but I feel better now.
Checking in. No more pills or alcohol. No more pot or Demerol. No more stinking fun at all. I'm checking in.
I hate that shit in movies.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean the only other one that kind of made it a bit of a joke, but kind of just to show like, yeah, you're not officially off it, dude, is Train Spotting. That's the other one that comes to my mind too.
Oh, yeah. But hey, train spotting when it's dark, it's dark. It shows you like you will. I mean, I'm not a drug addict, but I know I've known people who will like dive into the England's most disgusting toilet to get their drugs. So
Yeah, it's just kind of wild just how and this is and the great thing about Brain Damage above all is that this is a film unlike those other movies that we've talked about, even of course the most popular example that everyone trots out, Requiem for a Dream. Brain Damage is a much more fun movie to watch that still gets the point across.
yeah, it is. I don't want to come off with my drug thing. Like, no, this movie is actually a lot of fun too. Like, and it is at the end of the day a monster movie with
Yeah.
a really fun monster.
Oh, probably one of the most unique monsters I've ever. I remember when I first saw Brain Damage and the way Joe Bob talked about Aylmer. I mean, I thought my brain was immediately thinking like at the second I see that he's just a little worm, phallic-like worm thing, my brain thought he was going to be a little gremlin, like a little like
Yeah,
thing. That's what I thought it was going to be. I did not expect in a million years that this thing, hi, this is
yeah,
time to do life, right?
really,
Life,
really
hello,
dignified voice.
yeah, this wonderful, dignified, sophisticated voice, voiced by the inimitable, singular, trailblazing horror host John Zachary, the cool ghoul.
Mm.
Now, and even though Joe Bob did a good job clarifying this, he was not billed in this movie because At this point, it was a non-union project. So if Zachary had uh, was billed on a non-union movie, he would have gotten penalized for that. So he was not billed in the movie. But when he did Frankenhooker, which was a union film, he made up to him by having Zachary in the movie, and he did it as a thank you for contributing his time to Brain Damage.
Yeah, no, it's a great performance from somebody that people don't really associate with acting. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
which makes me kind of wonder, like, wow, what would have happened if he actually like had been in more movies and done more roles than just the Zachary cameo that he was so well known for in his later years.
Yeah, it just kind of makes me sad that when people talk about the great horror hosts, like, of course, Joe Bob, Elvira, Svengoolie, it does make me sad that people don't really think about a lot of the other ones that like led the way even before they came along. I mean, of course, people talk about Vampira, but mainly just because of her association with the controversy about Elvira. But then you got,
Plan,
but then you, huh?
and Plan 9,
Which one?
Plan 9, all
Oh yeah, Plan
but
9, Plan 9 from Outer Space. But then there was but then you had shows like Chiller Theater uh around that point. But Zachary really was like one of the true first horror hosts, like the ones who really kind of like refine, like kind of came up with the format of what horror hosting was supposed to be. And Frank Henenlotter knew that and loved it, and that's why he was so adamant to have him in this movie in some capacity. Because he had reverence for it.
it's I can't really talk about much of that because I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. We didn't have such a thing as a horror host. That was something that I learned as a horror fan later. And a lot of those guys, I mean, they were regional, depending
Mhm.
on where you grew up, you had your horror host. Obviously there was very few of them were in syndication. I mean, Elvira got syndication, but that was very rare.
Yeah.
At least we'll remember because he was in the New York area. Vampira was in Los Angeles, and she was like short. She was like she only had a couple of episodes, but that was like the big impact that it had. But
Hmm.
a lot of I've read of like there's a documentary called American. I think it's called American Scary. Uh, don't take my word for that, but there is a documentary about horror hosts, and yeah, like it's still an ongoing thing. There's a lot of horror hosts like Mr. Lobo who do online shows. Um,
Hmm.
but obviously it's not as big as it used to be. But yeah, it was a very regional thing. Every area used to have their own horror host for a while to host these packages of old monster movies that they used to have Schiller Theater. Uh,
Yeah. I mean, in fact, well, I mean, of course, one of our regular co-hosts who just hosted a episode on Witchfinder General with me, Ruby Tombsday, uh, she herself does on occasion does horror hosting online on, yeah, yeah, she'll do live streams of hosting movies
I,
online.
I would do a good horror host sidekick. I don't think I have it in me to be a horror host, but if you need a guy who's like a hunchback and
Yeah.
falls for bad jokes, I think I'd be your guy.
You know what? I might take you up on that because I have a character that I used to do on my YouTube channel, which I killed but then had resurrected in kind of like a ghoulish form to turn him into a horror host. So if I ever decide to pull the trigger on that and actually like really do, and I have the great name, the Slaughter Cinema Society.
That is a pretty good name.
Yeah, well, it was kind of an offshoot of my show, the Cinema Schlock Society is what it was originally called. So I was like, but now the Slaughter Cinema Society.
I mean, I'd be game. Just remember, I'm not an actor.
Yeah. You know what? I have always been, that's another interesting thing. Going back to Frank and just the idea that I never got the vibe that he was I don't know for sure if he ever went to college. I didn't look that part up or not, or go to a film school or anything like that. But a lot of his craft he learned just from, or just his love of film just came from the fact of just his years of just watching film. And he just kind of learned from there. To me, I think is much more inspiring, but also just the idea that the renegades that the can do. I guess you could construe Frank as an auteur because he was doing a lot of the stuff himself, but there is just that idea that even and of course Joe Bob did the amazing "Don't Stop Shooting" monologue that he did, which hit home the idea that the stuff that seems gargantuan to us was even more so back in Frank's day, where he really had to pay out the ass for the film stock. I mean, famously in Basket Case, they could only film as much as they could with how much film stock they could afford, and then they had to take the dailies, show it off to any potential investors, and get more money to continue the movie. It took like I think a full year to finish shooting Basket Case because of how much time it took between having to stop, go get more money, and then continue filming the rest. So
It's
uh,
never an ideal situation for filmmaking.
exactly. So I mean, Brain Damage, to my recollection, was that was like Candyland to Frank. I think that movie was made for somewhere in the six figures, which was like considerably a heck of a lot more.
Yeah, it was. I think it was produced by the guy that used to be the editor of Fangoria back in the day. So,
I
and with
want
Fangoria money.
Well, I want to say, yeah, I think so, but I definitely know well, around the time he still had Edgar Ivans as a producer, but yeah, they definitely had a lot more money at this point. And this is where also another regular collaborator of Frank showed up, Gabe Bartalos, who who now is beloved, even then beloved, but still, in my opinion, woefully underrated makeup artist. But he started collaborating with him on Brain Damage. He was the one who designed the incredible puppeteering work of Aylmer. And but he would go on to work with Frank all the way through the rest of his movies, from Bass Cases 2 and 3, Frankenhooker, and Bad Biology later on down the line. But for anyone else not in the know, or who would know, his Bartolos's biggest claim to fame was Leprechaun.
Yes.
Hmm. Yep.
The Before we move on, we
Yeah.
must talk about the dick sucking scene.
Oh, absolutely. Oh no, it wouldn't be Brain Damage if we would talk about filleting Aylmer. I mean, that scene, that was the one that I know got cut out from different cuts of the movie, but that's the one that I think cemented the movie for me in terms of its genius. Like when I saw that this is where the scene was going, the second she was going down there, I was like going, "Oh, love of God, please let Aylmer be down there. Please let him be down there."
The first time I saw this movie, it was cut because it was from a VHS from Blockbuster.
Lame.
Lame. Absolutely. I didn't see. They did. I later heard about the dick sucking scene, and I'm like, what? Like, what dick sucking scene? And then when the movie came out, and I think it was on DVD or something, I was like, wonderful. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think this scene is it's kind of like a line in the sand moment.
Yeah.
But you're either still on board, but if you get off, it's like I listen. That's it's not for you. I get it.
I mean, that scene is practically like in the midway through the movie. So if you haven't jumped off like prior to that, because there's a lot of crazy shit that happens even beforehand. I mean, even just with the night watchman getting his brain eaten out, like
Dude, that there's a difference. I mean, this is when you mix sex on it, it's a little
yeah,
can't take it.
yeah, I guess so. Oh, and actually, there's a fun little thing about that. In case you were wondering, if you ever wanted to add it to your playlist, one of the rare times that Frank actually had a band with an actual song in there, the song "Corruption" that plays in the club.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that the band is called the Swimming Pool Cues, and I found it on iTunes of all places, so I have it on my horror playlist. It is a kick-ass psychedelic prog rock song. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is a great song.
It is a great freaking song. So yeah, if anyone is looking for it, I found it, but that's what it is. It's called Corruption by the Swimming Pool Cues, and as in the letter Q. So that's where you find it. It's a great freaking song, and I found it, and I'm very happy. Uh, later on, now the one thing that the other thing that followed on from that scene that just really made me love how tongue in cheek and how ridiculous the movie goes. I adore the fact that the movie gave us so much of something that we really didn't need, but is delivered with the utmost commitment. I love when the old man gives the entire backstory of Aylmer in
Yes.
that glorious, I think, like 2 minute monologue, just laying out the entire history all the way back to Byzantium. I was like going, Frank, you did not need this much backstory.
Listen, if you can give something like that that is so well done, the way that guy delivers the lines, it really feels like you're hearing some psychopath in the street like ranting at you. It's perfect.
I kind of want to memorize that and maybe do that for an audition piece, like later on. I can use that monologue as an audition piece.
Go for it.
I think I'd love to try it. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna remember.
But
Yeah, the Elmer's origins can be traced back to the crash of Byzantium. Yeah, it's like, oh, so great.
do it with, you have to shake your hands and everything though.
Oh yes, yes, an old English word meaning the all-inspiring famous one. And I love that actor, but also I gotta love both of those actors, especially in that first scene when they're freaking out over Elmer being gone. The old lady, man, she is acting her freaking heart out. The way
Yeah,
she's screaming, and she is like, those are blood-curdling screams that she is letting out. But it's such a great hook for the start of the movie. Where you are not in the know. You just know that they have brains. Why do they have brains? Apparently, they're feeding something that likes brains. We don't know what it is, but then it's gone, and they're freaking the fuck out about it. Like I've had pets run off, and I didn't freak out like these people did.
you can you can really feel their pain as they're, because they know that they're going to go through like
Mhm.
cross and all that stuff. So it's, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And then
really,
you, and then you cut to seeing them frothing at the mouth on the floor. Then you're immediately going, "Oh fuck, something's really wrong with these people." So it's like
yeah.
so good, such a great hook for the start of the movie, and yeah,
Should have. Why did they only give them lambs brains? They should have given him more quality brains.
you
They
fool,
Great
you're feeding them human brains. You're making him stronger.
movie.
Oh man, so amazing. And it even, the wacky thing though is at the tail end of the movie, there are people who are dubious as to there are people who didn't get the ending. And I was like going, what's not to get? He overdosed.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's, yeah. That, I mean,
This is
I
all,
don't think it's that subtle. I think, I mean, everything has been about the brain and going all the hallucinations, and like his brain literally breaks.
yeah. And the other thing I love about the movie is the way it carries on through with the themes. It even hits home the idea of even when you try to walk away, there are people who still love you, but unfortunately, you try to walk away because you don't want them to get hurt. But it's not so easy to walk away, and as a result, the people you love end up getting hurt. And it is legitimately sad that Barbara, even though she by this point had hooked up with his brother, still cared about him, and just the whole part where she tries to patch things up and then she ends up dying just because of her compassion. I was like, that is just really freaking, it's a sad moment. And I love the fact that the movie doesn't make a joke out of it.
No, it's well, it does have a little joke before that where
Oh yeah.
that case has his cameo, and even he,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not fucking. I'm already. I already got one monster. I'm not fucking with another one.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, I do love that where Dwayne's looking at it like going, I ain't fucking with that, and then walking away. Yeah,
Yeah.
even then, knowing what we know is gonna happen to Dwayne later on, he's got a whole other mess to deal with later on. But well, actually, we'll kind of get into that a little bit later on. But one thing we should probably bring up in leading into Frankenhooker actually is the actress Beverly Bonner. Uh,
Hmm.
she is pretty much she was Frank Henenlotter's Noah Segan. Like she was in every single one of Frank's movies in one form or another, and in some of them she was reprising her role in Basket Case of Casey the hooker with a heart of gold.
Okay. I have to. I never caught that, but now that you mention it, that's nice.
Yeah, the first time, well, I mean, she did reprise the character for Basket Case 2 because they have a little the press interview Casey in response to what happened. But
Hmm.
in Frankenhooker, you see Beverly Bonner on TV advocating for hookers' rights, and
Yes, you're right. I remember now.
yeah, and in the credits they credit her as Casey.
Okay, pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, and I'm more than willing to accept that as as Casey, and it would make sense that she would be the kind of person to want to reach out and support hookers' rights. So yeah, so yep, so
Legalize hookers. No more pimps.
yeah. Well, especially after after the other movie, after watching Vice Squad, I'm like going, yeah, hookers really do have it bad. I mean, really, they do kind of they really do need a safer, a safe environment, really, in order to do what they do.
I
So
believe
yeah, so and going into and now going into Frankenhooker, the origins of that movie, there's a lot of wacky things that led up to it. When they were filming Brain Damage, especially when they were filming a lot of the shots of Brian walking down the streets, they kept stepping on crack pipes, or they kept stepping on like used condoms like a
Hmm.
bunch of times because they were filming in a sketchy area where there were hookers like left, right, and center. So, um, what happened is that Frank said he always wanted to do a Frankenstein picture. He always wanted to do one, but he didn't really have a story per se. But then legend has it, he pulled an entire story concept out of his ass for the pitch. He just said, it's a Frankenstein story, but it's a hooker kind of thing. And he just like came up with the story like right then and there on the spot. Reportedly, that's what happened.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a case where he came up with the title, because the title is brilliant,
Yeah.
and just kind of the whole thing just fucking wrote itself, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much, from there. But I love now going back to when I first watched it, I was just expecting this to be, especially when I saw the Troma Pictures logo pop up, my brain was immediately wired to just assume that this thing was just going to go crazy with every sort of excess that I could imagine. And Lord knows there is a lot of it in there, but I was so astonished that everything had a purpose in this film in terms of like, I mean, if it was meant to be funny, if it was meant to be, but if it was meant to kind of play into what the story, the central theme of the movie. But of course, the thing I always tell people about why Frankenhooker is a secretly a Trojan horsing, a really smart movie, is that this movie is a great dissection and a meditation, not just on the crack epidemic that was happening in New York around the late 80s, early 90s,
Hmm.
but it was, and Frank still is delighted when women come forward saying that how much they embrace the movie because he kind of inadvertently, or he might even take credit saying he did deliberately make what is considered to be a low-key feminist film because it is also about men's proprietary attitudes towards women's bodies.
Yeah, I actually mentioned went into a little bit of details in the when we mentioned this in the on the at the convention. So I mean, since that's
Yeah.
lost, I will go back into it. I mean, it is very the plot is very similar to a movie that came out in the '60s called "The Brain That Wouldn't
It
Die,"
would die.
which, by the way, I recently saw a '50s German movie called "The Head," which is kind of like a precursor to the same story, but not as good. Um,
Mm.
but it's the Brain That Wouldn't Die is a very interesting movie to watch because it's about a surgeon and his wife. They have an accident, and the surgeon is able to save his wife's head.
Hmm.
Her head is this, and it's very this really striking image in a film of this woman that is just a head, just surrounded
Yeah.
by scientific like doctor shit.
Yeah. No, I know this film very well because Mystery Science Theater 3000 fans would know that was the very first movie Mike watched when he took
Yeah,
over as host. Uh,
it's
yeah, the character has since been affectionately called Jan in the Pan.
well, it's a very striking and memorable image. I mean, and it's even in the center and the poster, which is just I think the poster is better than the movie. Uh,
Yeah.
It is. It is. I mean, I think that for. I mean, it's not a. I think it's a pretty cool. I like the movie. I think it's a movie that you can watch it, either the Mystery Science Theater version or the regular version. I think they're both very entertaining.
Hmm.
But there is this message, and I don't. I honestly don't think they did it on purpose at all. But it's the idea of like this surgeon who is basically cherry picking the body parts for his wife from strippers and models and
Yeah.
sex workers, just cherry picking what's the best part of each woman to create the what he thinks is going to be a perfect woman, and obviously it doesn't end well for anyone. Uh,
No.
but the thing is that it is kind of a feminist film that it's a feminist message that definitely I don't think
Yeah.
the filmmakers intended it to be there because I don't think they it's a different time. I don't think they were trying to be that clever, but
Yeah, I really don't think they were.
it is there if you look into it. And that is also in Frankenhooker, although I think
I,
he probably did plant those seeds there based on his love, because I know that he is a fan of The Brain That Wouldn't Die because he has a poster on his apartment. So
yeah. Oh yeah. And yeah, I think well in many ways if it's such as the case, if you're right, which I think you definitely are, I would definitely say Frank took it upon himself to try to really lean harder into that. Now, the one thing that I also was impressed with was the balancing act he was able to achieve with the main character of Jeffrey, played by James Lawrence, is that this character is doing pretty odious things. I mean, he's conspiring to take advantage of a hooker's addiction to crack to kill her for all intents and purposes and take her parts to rebuild Elizabeth. But because the script is so funny, because James Lawrence gives a performance where you can legitimately believe that he's just desperate and he doesn't like the idea he's doing it, but he's just like, well, the best way to assuage my guilt is just, take full advantage of something that, or like he says, they're going to kill themselves already with this crack shit. So, if they don't want to die from it, they just have to just say no.
And I do love that he has second thought when he has all the hookers in the party. Like,
Yeah.
like, oh no, this is not, no, I don't want to kill you all, and then they discover.
Well, it's because he couldn't find the one that had like the perfect body that matches the specs that he was looking for. Like they all had like the great individual parts, but he could never find one that he could, because in order to do it, he would have to kill all of them, and he wasn't ready to do that.
Yeah, but when they all die, he's kind of like, you're all dead, so I might as well just.
Well, no, that was a deliberate choice on Frank's part. He said he wanted to make sure that when all the hookers blow up, that it's entirely not. In fact, it's Jeffrey was trying to get out of there, and he was trying to tell him, no, don't smoke it, don't do that. So he made sure to set up that scene. So because we have to still like Jeffrey, we still have to be invested in his story. And
Mm-hmm.
But if he deliberately and in a cold-blooded fashion slaughtered all those hookers, yeah, we would be off the Jeffrey train at that point. But because they stage it the way they do, and they also, I'm going to say it, I lost my shit with laughter when the hookers start exploding. And I was expecting them to blow up like, blood, viscera all over the place. And I was ready for it. I did not expect that they were in perfect tongue-in-cheek fashion, that they were going to explode very obvious mannequins.
Yeah, it's wonderful, and it's like you can see always cracks me up when you see the cut between the actress and the mannequin.
Yes.
It's great.
Yes. And I love how so deliberately tongue-in-cheek it is. They knew, and that told me that, I think that was another thing that just told me that there was the genius Frank Henenlotter, because he knew just the right way to show it, to tell people, to keep reassuring people, no, this is meant to be fucking funny. And the way to make it funny is just show how deliberately fake these exploding hookers are.
Probably why I was able to get through like the ratings board and stuff like that, because it's like,
oh no, it did not. It did not get through the ratings board.
Oh, it didn't. Oh,
no. I'm glad you queued me up for this, because when he tried to screen this for the MPAA, the guy handed it back and said, "Listen, we're going to give you back your submission fee, and we're going to forget that this ever happened, because we at the MPAA do not have a rated S." And he says, rated S for sexy? No, for shit.
I hate the MPAA. Everything.
Oh, really? Oh yeah, he has been vocal, saying it's like, no, the MPAA is a criminal organization. Like, I know Brain Damage. He had to cut out the famous fellatio scene because of them. The only movies they didn't have a trouble with were Bath and Games of 2 and 3. He said he did not have any trouble with them for either of those two.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're super like they're just it's so like like their decisions never make sense sometimes. Like
they're fucking hypocrites. They really are. It's a and Frank has said again, he's said constantly, it's a criminal organization, and it's just not. It's one that I'm pretty sure we can get a full podcast episode about this, where we could just talk about just how irrelevant they've become in this cinematic day and age. They really have.
Yeah, and then it's literally like the cushiest job in the world.
Oh yeah, I would love to get paid to watch movies and tell people, oh, there's bad stuff in it.
Well, my have you ever seen Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, here's a little allusion to everybody. We will be doing an episode on that down the line.
pretty cool. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, I just want to add like that. That's the kind of insane like shit that the MPAA will give you because that movie, it's very disturbing, but it's very short on gore and nudity.
Yeah.
And the director got an NC-17 immediately. It's like, why are you giving me an NC-17? He's like, oh, it's just the tone. It's not right. It's like, how the fuck do you edit a tone? Like, it's like
Yeah.
you're literally just like, well, you're fucked. Bye.
It's like this is a movie that in the title right there alone tells you what kind of movie you're going to be getting into. It's like you're not this is the title does not say, "Hey, bring the kids." No. It's called Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. This is a movie where it tells you buy the ticket, expect the ride to be bumpy because it's
Exactly.
going to be. You know?
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, Lynn and I talked about this when we covered Maniac. When we tackled Maniac, we kind of talked a little bit about this. It's just the idea that it's like in the end, just don't bring, I'm definitely for the idea. Now, I don't like the idea of policing movies and keeping movies out of theaters just because of like what some pearl clutching moralist says. The only thing I will say I do advocate for is warning people as to content. Just tell them what is in the movie. I am totally for that.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, you don't want to take your kids to see fucking, Henry.
Yeah, absolutely not. No, I do think it is the responsibility of the parents to find out if the movie is okay for them. Now, I mean, if you want to even keep the letter grade, that's fine, but let us not, let's not do the whole policing, doing the whole, moral outrage thing. Just
Yeah.
say if this kind of stuff is in this movie, it is only appropriate for this level of ages. Anything else is at your own risk. Yeah,
I'm a fucking adult. If I want to see a movie, if it's not hurting anyone, I want to see any fucking movie I want, and that's the bottom line. Like whatever.
exactly. Exactly. And Frankenhooker, and the funny thing is about Frankenhooker is that it's such an innocent movie, and I'm pretty sure hell, movies like Porky's or movies like Revenge of the Nerds, they have fucking comedy rape in those
Yeah,
movies.
it's disgusting. It's
Yeah, I hate Revenge of the
I
Nerds for that shit.
so yeah, like, I have never found the humor in that movie.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
it's just Revenge of the Assholes. I don't like any of those characters.
yeah.
You can be a nerd and not be an asshole.
Yeah, I mean Big Bang Theory is basically just Revenge of the Nerds
Oh God, don't even get me
except it's sitcom rape, you
don't
know?
even get me started on the Big Bang Theory. But yeah,
Yeah,
we're
fuck
getting
that
off topic.
fuck that show. You know, fuck it hard with no passion, and to the point where as my friend Logan would say, fuck it so hard it would be considered a hate crime.
I would have fucking would have stolen dick.
Or what was it Rob Williams said? I wouldn't fuck that with a koala's dick. Yeah, if you were a panda, you'd know that is one ugly panda bitch. God rest you, Robin Williams. We miss you. So, but yeah, so Frankenhooker unfortunately did not get. But as you said before, Frank was really good with marketing when it came to the video market,
Oh
and
yeah.
Frankenhooker Frankenhooker was a massive hit on the video market, not just for the brilliance of a talking box that you press it and says "Want a date," but another endorsement, a wild endorsement that this film got was from Bill Murray.
Okay.
Yeah, in fact,
Yeah, he said something like, if you're gonna see one movie this year, make it Frankenhooker or something like that.
yes, he said yes. If you see, yep, in his words, if you see only one movie this year, it should be Frankenhooker. Yes.
No arguments there.
Yeah, I have absolutely no arguments there. And not only that, it does. I've always been kind of like weird in approaching the topic of Bill Murray because he's been a bastard in some respects, but he's also been awesome in other respects. And this is one of those times he's been awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like, that's a topic for a different day. But it's just the fact that but Frankenhooker became a massive hit on video because, when you're walking along the video store, because they're at this point, mom and pop video stores really were like the grindhouse of home video at that point because they weren't policed by uh massive corporations, so they didn't have to so they bought any video they could get a hold of and that they knew people were going to grab. And Frankenhooker, you're walking along the video store shelf and you see a movie called Frankenhooker, you're going to want to watch a movie called Frankenhooker.
So just the title, it just catches your eye, and like you said, it had that really awesome talking VHS cover box. It's like, yeah,
Yeah. And Frank said, like, he said that that was just genius. It was a genius marketing. I think I think it wasn't his idea. I think he said it was Shapiro Glickenhaus. I think it was their idea. The distribution house. I think they said it was. I think it was their idea to give it the talking box. But either way, it was a huge thing. So another thing about Frankenhooker though, which kind of segues us into his next movie. This was when now in order to get the money for Frankenhooker, he had to make a deal with Shapiro Glickenhaus saying
Hmm.
that if you want to make Frankenhooker, you need to make Basket Case 2. Eh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think. I mean, I have to admit that these are the two movies that I've seen less from Henenlotter. I feel like he really didn't have an interest in making these movies.
Um, that
But I don't know. I feel like I because it's they're kind of I don't know. I feel like I mean they're great as they're fun, but
yeah, I
they don't to me they lack the energy of the first movie.
they definitely I mean, they're a different movie completely. I mean, hell, they have like I'd say like 30 times the budget of the original film.
True.
So what it was is that Frank Henenlotter got $3 million to make both Frankenhooker and Basket Case 2 back to back.
Mhm.
Now, to enlighten you, Frank yeah, you're right. He had no interest in making a second Basket Case because everyone kept giving him just trite pitches. They're like saying, "Oh no, it turned out there was a fourth Doctor or something like that," or stuff that basically would have been a rehash of the first movie.
Mhm.
But but when Frank was given full artistic freedom to come up with his own concept, he lit up. He said like, "Ooh, I'm gonna get, you're gonna let me kind of come up." So he came up with and I think he did cite Todd Browning's Freaks as a major inspiration, but he wanted to go full out and make the idea that they fall in with a world of freaks. Because the great thing about the concept of Belial is that that's such a weird ass um like deformity or something like that. It's like it's borderline unrealistic. It's
Of
practically
course.
unrealistic. So I love, and this is just makes me love Frank even more, is that where you have other movies that would deliberately cast people with physical deformities and kind of
Yeah.
trot them out as like a freak act. A good example was the paranormal horror film The Sentinel for
Yeah.
that. But Frank said, no, we're gonna make our freaks match the tone of the movie. So he gave Gabe Bartalos full reign to design like the most wildest, most outlandish concepts for all the unique individuals that he did for the movie. And that's what they did. That's why all the designs are so wild and so cartoony is because he wanted to go so far into that realm that people would not be in any shape. It's like there's no way you could possibly be offended because there's no way these kind of deformities could ever exist.
No, they're so cartoony and over the top. I mean, one guy's like looks like a mouse. There's another guy that looks like a frog. The
Yeah.
head
You
that
got one guy, yeah, one looks like well, you got one that's a big ass giant head that has a beautiful operatic tenor.
carrot head lady.
Yeah, yeah, you have Carrot Head Lady. You got another one that basically looks like Mac Tonight's redneck brother. Um, you kind of think. Well, actually, funny things about that particular one. He was played by David Emge, who was the one of the leads in Dawn of the Dead.
I had no idea, but okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
great.
yeah. It was so wild when I found that out. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" David Emge played that guy. That's kind of great.
I bet that when he was at Spooky Empire, you were the only person that brought that up.
I did not actually bring that one up. I
Oh,
didn't bring that up specifically. I think when I talk, well, I mean, again, go to my episode where my interview with Kevin. The main thing that when I talk with Kevin, we just wanted to talk about just his life, with sculpting, just talk about art and everything like that. I kind of wanted to talk about other things that he was interested in because, of course, he's talked ad nauseum about his experiences making the Bass Case movie. So that was kind of like my priority with that. So.
okay.
But the one thing Frank noticed about Kevin in these two movies, he finally noticed like Kevin's actually a really funny actor. Like he really is a funny guy in
Yeah.
the movies. And I do kind of feel like he got a chance to show that a lot more in Basket Cases 2 and 3, especially 3. Actually, I'd say like Kevin really got to go unhinged in the third one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
great.
that's great. But I think to me the major ace in the hole that both of these movies had, which I think really gave the movie the shape and the form, and in many ways I think she's kind of the star of it, was Annie Ross, who played Granny Ruth. in those movies.
Broadway star Annie Ross.
And jazz singer,
Yeah,
famous jazz singer. Yeah, so Granny Ruth, honestly, to me, I think she's such a and according to Frank, was a dream to work with. She loved the character. She had a great time making both of the movies. Um, and hilarious. And according to Kevin and Frank, she had like a lot of like saucy stories about her conquests, like during her entire long career as a jazz singer.
that's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, she was apparently like a really wild, spicy, saucy lady. So she and you could read how much fun she was having on making those movies. Just the way she commits to just how, and the whole monologue she gives, like where she's like rallying the troops, where she's in the choir robes. I'm like, that is an incredible monologue that she gives herself to. It's so good.
Yeah, Charles, she's wonderful, and like, yeah, she's just really fun. She's just really funny, but also really like endearing, and you can tell she comes off as so genuine when she
Yeah.
share these sideshow characters, and they're so because they're so over the top, and you
Oh,
need
yeah.
something that's like grounded and real, and she does it perfectly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But and I think a great like kind of like rap like kind of thing that brings it all together with a bow and just kind of like the level of class she brings to it. Now Bass Case 2 did really well. Like it
Mm.
did really well in the box office. I'd say like it was probably Frank Henenlotter's most successful movie financially in the box office. That
I
Shapiro
bet it's
Grithouse,
great too.
huh?
I'm pretty sure in video it did great too.
Yeah, and they just said like we'll just all right, well we got to make the third one because the second one did really well. And Frank, because of the momentum of how now one other joke about the making of Bass Case 2, because he was working on Frankenhooker at the same time, he barely got any sleep. So if you notice in Bass Case 2, like the very voluminous presence of Jolt Cola, like at various scenes, it's
Yeah.
because those are actual cans of Jolt Cola that the crew just left on set.
Oh no, no paid sponsorship.
No paid sponsorship. They were just, it's just that the entire crew was jacked up on it because all the same crew that was working on Bass Case 2 were working on Frankenhooker at the same time. So
I
that's,
remember. I'm old enough to remember Jolt Cola. It was no joke.
I remember Joel. I remember trying it once or twice, and I just remember honestly, it just felt like I was drinking like the syrup for root beer.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, I was not fond of it. And then I remember later on there was another energy drink called Balls.
I never had any balls, but I've had balls. Yeah. Anyway,
Oh
good.
yeah, I've had Balls. I've drank Balls many times. Come on, let's ride this balls train. I'm like trying to see how many times. Like, yeah,
I'll just
you're
yeah.
good. You're good.
I
All right.
don't here to balls in my mouth.
Yeah. No, I'd rather just have salty chocolate balls in my mouth.
Let's keep going about Basket Case 3 before
Yeah.
this descends into
Yeah.
insanity.
So yeah, it was kind of so that one was definitely rushed into production, and Frank did have regrets about rushing it like he did, but from what I understand, it was not the studios entirely forcing it. I think a lot of it was because they were riding the momentum of how much fun they had making Bass Case 2 that they just jumped right into it. But he has since regretted rushing into it like he had because he didn't really have as fully formed of a story as he would have liked. But there was also another thing that he wanted to do in the movie, but they were all saying like, no, the women would hate it. Is of course the birthing scene. Oh,
Yeah.
why are we jumping ahead so ahead? Yeah, because the whole thing kicks off with Eve pregnant with Belial's babies. I mean, if there's any proof that Frank Henenlotter was still in control of of the asylum on here, but the fact that we have a like a potent, nasty, raunchy sex scene between between two meatballs with arms with Belial and Eve, just that whole bit, just if ever there was proof that Frank Henenlotter was in total control of this movie and that no one was fucking with him, the fact that that scene made it through no problem, it's just fucking genius.
No, I actually really like I find those two characters and their relationship very sweet.
Yes. Well, yeah, no, absolutely. So much so that I'm gonna say it. I get choked up in Bass Case 3 when Eve gets shot and then
Yeah.
Belial sees her and then screams. I
It's so mean. It's so mean, right?
it's so
that's how I felt. Like, oh man, that's so mean. Why would you do that to them?
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have done it because to me, I think it's like good high drama. And by this point, you really do care about Belial well, you care about all the unique individuals, and you see like them all as really sweet people, and you just don't like the idea that one of them, especially one so innocent, dies so horribly, especially right after a strenuous birth and making it out the other end okay and giving birth to 12 babies. It's like that's a
God, that pregnant belly is so gross looking back at
oh
it.
yeah. Oh, just when her water breaks and it just like spills out of the freaking bus. It's just
Oh God, it's
oh
so
Jesus.
they really no, I mean it fits the
Well,
but it's
yeah.
really
So I'm glad we lead up to this because that whole birthing scene, Frank had an 11 pages for that scene. Like he wanted this to be a
wow.
big old nat like wild you remember the birthing scene in Coneheads when Primat was giving birth to think that except like 11 pages worth where fluids are going to be flying all over the place and everything like that. And the funny thing is, Frank I think he did like pitch this to like any of the women on set, and all of them laughed because, and yeah, I think even Annie Ross is all for it because it was he was being graphic about how legitimately ugly the birthing process actually is,
Mm.
contrary to all these other fucking movies that are all making it look like it's a beautiful moment and all that. It's like no, disgusting,
It's
nasty.
painful and disgusting.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know if he's problematic or not, but I'd say if there's one comedian I think who perfectly described it best. He's like, I've seen the films. Did you Foxworthy? He said, like, I've seen the films. To me, it looks like a wet Saint Bernard trying to come in through the cat door.
I mean that's not it's not wrong.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of I've never seen a live birth in person. I've only seen them in old exploitation movies, and they are pretty rough.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen well, in health class, like especially for sex ed classes, they would show they would kind of show like very cunningly filmed birthing scenes where you don't see like you don't see the exit, but you do see like when they pull it out or something like that. I mean, but it was kind of but that's what Frank wanted to do with this birthing scene. He wanted to make it like as legitimately ugly as a birth actually is.
Yeah.
And he was going to make it hilarious. He was going to make it comedic and but the producers got cold feet. They all said like, no, women are going to hate this, and he's like, going, no, women are going to be the ones that are going to lose their shit laughing at this because they're the ones because we're going to be showing like how legitimately fucking awful the birthing process is, contrary to what the
The
mass
men,
establishment keeps saying. It's like going, oh no, you want to have babies. It's like no,
it's the men who are gonna be horrified.
yeah. Oh no, in reality, that's what it's going to be. It's the men who are going to be horrified. So unfortunately, because and I think that was another part of the regret Frank had for it. So because they forced him to cut 11 pages, they had the actor who played, um, oh, I forget Larry, but with the multiple arms, because he was a improv comedian, they just pointed the camera like directly at him, and they just let it roll while he's just improvising like what his reaction to like all the babies coming out, and there's nothing scripted in it, so he is just an actor in panic.
Don't let that
Yeah,
affect
it
you. It
is
was
fucking
just
great.
my gut instinct.
I also like that the movie also goes full like hilarious gore with the death scenes. Like
Yeah,
they're not
well,
serious at all. Like when Belial takes his revenge.
yeah, in the police station when he freaking grabs the one dude, twists his head and his eyes. I swear to God, he looked like a mangled version of the Fright Features Egon Spengler toy from the real
Yeah,
Ghostbusters line.
totally like what he looks like. It just with the eyes popping out. It's become a meme actually. So that's
Yeah, good on it. And yeah, and which is funny because Frank was never happy about the effects on that because again, because he felt it was a rush production. He always felt that the effects weren't up to the snuff of what he felt. But to me, I think they're great. I think they perfectly complement the movie.
the fakeness. Nobody's gonna complain about it being realistic. It totally fits the tone of the movie.
Which is probably why, again, they got away with an R rating on those movies because the effects were so over the top and so silly. I think that was why he was able to get away with it. And then, of course, well, I mean, and even then, how can you take seriously a movie where Belial gets a mech suit? You know,
Yeah.
that was the greatest thing in the world. I'm sorry, Belial getting a mech suit. I mean, what more could you want out of that?
Yeah, he reminded me of it reminds me of Krang from the Ninja Turtles.
Fuck yeah, fuck yeah, Krang, absolutely Krang. Oh man, no, that's totally good. Yeah, though I honestly I'd say Belial would kick Krang's ass.
Well, you probably have a discussion about it.
Oh no, Belial wouldn't discuss shit. No, he would lunge at
Oh,
Krang, kick it.
Belial, yeah, Crank can talk, but Belial doesn't have the.
Belial doesn't need words.
Yeah.
He would leap into that suit, kick Krang out, take control of it, and curb stomp Krang's brainy ass.
You guys want to see like an accurate portrayal of a gay couple who live together? Look at those old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle episodes, and look at Krang and Shredder's relationship. Totally, totally what it's like to have a be in a relationship for a long time.
Oh my God, now I need to go back and rewatch that. So that's pretty. I
There
never.
are there are moments where like, oh, you're interrupting my soap opera.
Oh my God, that's pretty great. I mean, funny enough, I'm rewatching the Toxic Crusaders right now, and Dr. Killamoff and his henchman Psycho.
Oh
That's
yeah,
that's that relationship right there. I love Psycho the way he just keeps like going, yeah, unless the Toxic Avengers, and he perfectly lays out what's about to happen in the episode. And Dr. Killamoff keeps going, don't be absurd.
yeah. I love how he'll kill him off. Will be like so like angry and melodramatic, and then he'll be something like, yeah, it's not like they haven't done that shit before.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Shut
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. For everyone who does not know, Toxic Crusaders is currently streaming on, I think it's on Tubi, but it's also on Screenbox as well. And in the annals of R-rated movies getting kid-friendly TV shows, Toxic Crusaders might actually be one of the best.
It's probably. I mean, it's been a while since I saw the RoboCop and Rambo animated series, but it's probably the best.
I would say so. I would definitely say so. In fact, somewhere down the line might be fun to do a franchise breakdown of Toxic Avenger just to kind of talk about that. But so yeah, the Basket Case 3 was kind of like Frank's last go around because he did say he was so burned out
Mm.
making that one, and he was kind of sick of the glad handing, and he was kind of sick of that whole game that he just was finally like he decided to just go off on his own and kind of more focus on curatorship because at that point he kicked off Something Weird Video.
Well,
Uh,
he met something Word Video already existed.
oh, it did.
It was Bill Barney's child. He started by um, basically bootlegging old exploitation movies. He
Mhm.
would videotape record because he didn't have two videotapes, so he used to work at a porno theater, and when the porno theater was closed, he would play these movies, record them with a VHS camera,
Wow.
sell those as bootlegs. Eventually, he made enough money where he actually reached out to the like David Freeman, for example, who's the producer of many of those movies. And he's like, "Hey, can I have the rights to these movies?" And it's like, "No, why would you want to? Why do you want the rights for these? These movies are fucking shit." And he's like,
Yeah.
"No, I'm telling you, people want to watch them." And
Yeah. There's
uh,
always somebody who wants to watch them.
I think the first two were Blood Feast and Scum of the Earth, the two Herschel Gordon Lewis movies.
Oh
And,
yeah.
they made a ton of money on those. And
Mhm.
I think David Freeman was like, well, I have a whole warehouse of this shit,
Yeah.
and that's where the whole Something Weird library came from. But yeah, Frank Henenlotter joined the company as a curator and helped find and restore these films. And I have a ton of these movies on DVD still because I love listening to the audio commentaries because a lot of them are curated by Frank Henenlotter, and he is always an entertaining host
Absolutely.
in audio commentaries, and he knows his shit. So like yesterday, I was watching what was it? What I was watching? It's about the fucking Indian Native American. Sorry, Death Curse of Tartu.
The
And,
Curse of Tartu.
it's really funny because it's also a Florida movie, and he has a great interaction with William Graffy, the director, who also
Mm.
did a lot of Florida horror movies. Um, anyway, off topic. Yeah, he became for years associated with Something Weird Video, and yeah, that's a great company that does the God's work. It was around, it's still around, even though, but it's now basically because Mike Varney died in 2012, 2015 from cancer. So it just kind of exists as like preservation and putting out these movies Usually through Vinegar Syndrome and their associated
and
labels.
and even Arrow Video.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's through that curatorship that, well, I mean, though Frank had always paid allegiance to Herschel Gordon Lewis, even in Basket Case in the original credits, he gave special thanks to Herschel Gordon Lewis.
Hmm.
But at that point, a lot of people, even though Herschel Gordon Lewis was a trailblazer with Blood Feast and 2000 Maniacs and the like, he was still not. Bear in mind, there was no internet back then, so not everyone around the world knew him. And even Herschel Gordon Lewis, to his credit, was a man who never really understood why he was such a success when it came to those movies. He was someone who just made the movies because he was just a good businessman who just knew what the public wanted from him, and that's how he just made those movies. But it was through it was through the work of Something Weird Video that movies like Blood Feast and a lot of other of Herschel's work prevailed. And
Oh yeah. A lot of those movies would be lost if it wasn't for something we're video.
precisely. And I will also, and from this point on, I think this is where Frank also really did well when he made documentaries. He made two incredible documentaries. One of them is Godfather, Herschel Gordon Lewis, Godfather of Gore, which
Excellent.
tells the full history of Herschel Gordon Lewis. And even better is that Herschel's in the documentary, and he is so wonderfully candid, and he is has so complete absence of bullshit.
Yeah, there's nothing, not a pretentious bone in that guy's body. He has no uh like you say, bullshit about his career at all. I mean, I love Herschel Gordon Lewis and I love his movies, but he's like,
Yeah,
hey, man, my movies are shit. We
yeah.
knew we were shit when we were making him. It's just,
We,
yeah.
we were making them because we were, and Herschel Gordon Lewis, he started off making nudie cuties and sexploitation films at first, but when the market was drying up because also the porno swing was kicking off like around that time, he
Yeah,
was like, well, okay, well, where's the market now? It's like, well, there's no gore, so that's where Blood Feast came in, and that became like the OG gore flick. The
yeah,
movie's fucking ridiculous and fucking awful, but it doesn't matter because it's
yeah.
a
It's a movie that everybody should see,
yeah,
honestly.
I
Uh,
agree.
it's a lot of fun if you're in the right mood. The gore, nobody's gonna look at that gore and be like, "Oh my god, how real!" Like nobody's gonna. There's nothing realistic about that gore, but it is. If you place yourself in the time that it came out, yeah, people were fucking amazing because people. This was the era where if you shoot a cowboy, they go, "Ugh," and they clutch their chest and they fall over.
Yeah,
This was years before like the Wild Bunch and all these kinds of movies that brought violence into a more real, realistic way.
precisely. Exactly. And uh from that point on, it was off to the races because then he made though I'll say this, 2000 Maniacs is great.
It's a
That
movie, yeah.
that
So the movie, I think it's a better movie.
yeah, not only is it a better movie than Blood Feast, I actually would call that a movie. I actually think it's a great movie with a great story. And I will say this, the barrel sequence is one of the best. It's such
I
a
love I love all the setups in the movie. I love the barrel. I love the giant rock.
Yeah. So it seems like we're off topic here talking about, but really, without Herschel, we would never have Frank Henenlotter, and I love that Frank Henenlotter brought it full circle with that documentary, kind of just honoring him as such because he understands that sometimes because it really means something when someone it aspires to push things beyond the boundaries of what is considered to be socially acceptable. But
Hmm.
but both Herschel and even by extension Frank were doing it specifically to because they knew that the only way to stand out from the rest is to do things that are so audacious and so crazy and so fucking nuts that people are going to want to remember it because holy shit, they did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like that Herschel Gordon Lewis documentary is should be seen in film school,
I
and I do like that he created junk mail.
Yeah. Oh, well, I hate to be creative junk mail, but at the same time, game recognizes game. So, I get
He
that.
called it direct marketing.
Yeah, direct marketing, that's a fun way to put it. It's a fun way to put it. Yeah, thanks a lot, Herschel. Though the thing
Have
I
you?
find funny about Herschel is that his wife hates those movies like that he made. Like he doesn't even talk about those his movies with his wife, or he never talked about his movies with his wife because she's like, oh, those films are disgusting now. Um, but but
Did
it's
you
that kind of
other?
audacity that I'm happy that Frank still was able to hold on to when he finally made Bad Biology in 2003.
Yes.
Yeah, which that's the if there's any film of Frank's that I find myself least inclined to go back to, it's Bad Biology.
I've seen it a couple of times but it is definitely. I don't want to say it's a bad movie because I really
No.
enjoyed it, but it's kind of like I don't know what to say. It's I respect it more than I enjoy more than I love it. Uh,
I that's yeah, I own it just for the sake of saying that I own all of
completion.
Frank's movies pretty much. But I mean I know that they just came out with a new special edition recently, but I didn't feel the urge to buy it. I'm just like going, I'm pretty good with what I've got. I'm
Yeah, same here. And sorry, Frank. I know you're probably never going to hear this, but if you do, I'm sorry.
yeah.
We still love you.
Yeah, I
I
mean, but that being
I
said,
still love the
I
Jedi Mind Tricks soundtrack. It's really good.
huh?
The Jedi Mind Tricks soundtrack is really good too. It's a hip hop group.
Oh yeah, well, R.A. the Rugged Man. He was the rapper who Frank collaborated with, and I think a lot of it came from. I think Frank directed some of his music videos, and they had such a good time working together that they said, "Well, let's make a movie together," and that's where Bad Biology came in. And you know what? I think that's the factor with that makes that movie feel a little weird compared to the rest of Frank's movies because I feel like a rapper had a hand in the construction of the story here because there are scenes which now I will admit do have that trademark Frank Henenlotter penchant for realism. I mean, there's a whole sequence where a crack whore is like going freaking out, screaming, "Where's my Jimmy Jack?" kind of thing. And I'm like, the sick part is that I'm pretty sure like either Frank or Aria the Rugged Man has had this situation happen, and he just said to write this shit into a script.
I mean, that's fine. I have no problem with those stuff, but it's just, I mean,
Mm.
I do like the scenes with the that go all out with like the every time the girl has sex, she
Yeah,
gives birth to these deformed
horned
this
mutants.
which
That
they're like pretty awesome, and
yeah, I
the
mean,
carnivorous cock is pretty awesome too.
yeah, that was. I mean, that part was crazy. I mean, that there's a whole 10-minute sequence where the male's member detaches itself. It goes on a big old serial rape spree where it just like has sex with like a bunch of women. And I will say the whole bit where he has sex with the prostitute is like stuck in the throes of a permanent orgasm, which I'm like, now this movie to me screams male fulfillment fantasy, male wish fulfillment fantasy kind of movie because I'm like, I don't know any woman who would look at that dick and say, I've got to fuck that.
Listen, they have fucked up organs and they're drawn to each other. I mean,
Mm. I think that was my other problem with that movie is like I kind of wanted to see where the relationship went after they met, and the movie
oh
kind of
yeah.
culminates in them meeting and having sex. I mean, upon rewatch, I was like going, did they both die at the end? I mean, it's like, are they both dead? Is that is that kind of how it all ends? Just like they just kind of became like this collision of sexual energy that kind of consumed them both.
I mean, we can pretend. I mean, or they just had like more adventures,
I
making
guess, but it's like I
doing
really
more
wanted to.
doing that shit. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just in the end, I really wanted to just see this relationship. I wanted to see like where it went afterwards. But I mean, in the I suppose I think I remember my TikTok review I did when I finally watched it. I was like going, I find it funny that there's a Frank Henenlotter movie that does a lot of crazy shit, but I actually feel it didn't go far enough.
Yeah, it's. I have to agree with you. It just doesn't. It doesn't even feel like a Frank Henenlotter movie, honestly. But
Were it not for the mutant babies and the mutant dick and all that stuff, it wouldn't feel like a Frank movie. But
those are things that people are more common now than in Frank's day in movies.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. But to this day, Frank has not made another movie since, and I know people have since have consistently asked him, when are we going to get a Basket Case 4? Even Kevin Van Hentenryck has pitched him ideas for a Basket Case 4.
Honestly, I really like his documentaries.
Yeah. Oh, that's exploitation. That was another one he did.
That's exploitation. He did a. It's a really cool kind of like if you're a fan of this history of it, it's really cool to see all those clips. And I really loved his Mike Diana documentary. I think that's an incredible case of injustice that I mean
Mike and Diana.
Sadly, today, Mike Diana, yes, he is to this date the only artist to be convicted of obscenity for his comic books. They're indie comic books. In Florida, by the way, just in case you're
Of
wondering.
course. Of course.
It's a great documentary, and he did do one on Banksy, which I haven't seen.
Mm.
So I can't really talk about that one. But yeah,
Mm.
it's a. I would like to see more documentaries on artists like Herschel Gordon Lewis and Mike Diana, like he's done, because those are guys that like never get any
Mm.
recognition from the mainstream, and the fact that they're doing a documentary on them is really cool.
Yeah. And a lot of people have asked Frank why he hasn't made any new movies since, and a lot of it is just because he says, "Like, listen, I've got a wealth of ideas, but no one's ever going to want to give money to my ideas because of just how crazy his ideas tend to be." And that's and unfortunately, every time he does, tell people the stuff he wants to do, immediately they just always keep going back to, okay, well, when are we going to get Basket Case 4? And that immediately ends the conversation with Frank. So yeah,
Uh,
and that's why if I ever meet him, I will not bring it up at all, even though I myself have my own personal pitch for Basket Case 4, funny enough.
Tell them to give you the rights.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Figured out. No, I had an idea, like, because the end of Basket Case 3 ends with the unique individuals finally rebelling and finally like announcing their presence to the world. Well, given the time gap, I'm like thinking, wouldn't it be freaking funny if the unique individuals end up taking over and Belial becomes president?
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be funny.
That would be great.
Belial becomes president, Dwayne becomes like his Secretary of State or something like that, where well now kind of people like regular people have become the minority, and Dwayne is finally like having that like figuring out really truly where does he belong, like what is he in this world now kind of thing. So it would be I would like wouldn't that be kind of like fun to like kind of see where that goes. And since the prior films alluded to the idea of a shared universe, I say let's just commit to that shit. I think it would be kind of funny if like Patty Mullen shows up again with her and James Lawrence like back as Jeffrey and Elizabeth, and they're both like the most genius scientists on the face of the planet. Like they've become like they become like the head of research and development for like the government. But the
They
and
have
then,
Elmer in like
no,
the tank.
no, what you do no what you do is that it turns out Brian is in fact still alive, and that the open thing in his head is like a gateway into the cosmos. So his consciousness is basically he's like Dr. Manhattan.
That's
He's here,
fucking
he's
total.
here to yeah, that would just be it. Just his brain is now open to the cosmos, and now he's like a conduit. Now he's like uber genius like level.
Dude, you should make it as a fan film. Fuck it.
Yeah. But that would just be fucking funny, just the idea. And again, get Rick Herbst back, which I've had the pleasure of meeting Patty Mullen and Rick Herbst, and they are just delightful people as well. So I'm sure they would all be down for it. I will say the funniest thing about Rick was that even though I got a great poster, which I think I showed you when he came to the
Yeah,
house,
you did.
but he also gave me a picture, an 8x10 of the scene where Brian's in the bathtub with Aylmer and Aylmer popping up in the
Mm-hmm.
bathtub. And he put Cialis, anyone?
That's
So
great.
yeah,
Oh,
he's great.
actually, funny story. In case anybody hasn't heard this before, you and me met at Spooky on I think the year that Patty Mullen was at the convention,
Yeah.
and we started talking because you were cosplaying as the character from Basket Case
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
your huge
Okay.
Belial puppet. Uh, and you told me that you were interested in doing a play based on Basket Case, which I'm still waiting for.
Well, no. What I wanted to do, and I've said this before on the podcast, I wanted to do a musical of Frankenhooker, like for
Oh,
years.
okay. Okay. I thought
Now
that.
that's what I want to do because I think that would be an amazing musical. I would want it to be a full 2 act. I've actually got the synopsis all typed up and everything, and it's going to end with like, and it's going to be like a great like "You Can't Stop the Beat" from Hell, where all the yeah, like hookers like all come out of the thing, but they're all like all dancing and they all have like extra limbs and stuff. I'm like that's kind of like what I wanted to do with it. So yeah, sorry, but yeah, it was. Yeah, that was the idea. I just need to find someone who's willing to go with me on that ride to help compose it. But in the meantime, I've got a lot of other projects coming down the pipe, which I'm totally 100% happy with working with. I mean, I've got a project coming up with Kat, uh, which we're talking about doing, and I'm in the middle of my stage adaptation of Maniac right now. So that I'm writing a stage adaptation of Maniac. So yeah,
Well, I would still like to see that one day. That's
yeah.
like,
Oh no, I really, if you could find me someone who's really good at writing music, who's on the same level, like on the same wavelength, I'd be 100% down for that. So yeah, but that's fine. But that is totally 100% fine though. But yeah, that's a story for another day. But all right, here we are, everybody. That was the end. That is our 150th episode spectacular. Jorge, thank you for joining me on this one.
anytime. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I'm not going to do any kind of rankings as like whatever we consider to be the best because to me, I think the beautiful thing about Frank is that his entire I don't think he even with Bad Biology and my feelings on it, I still don't consider it a bad film. He's to me like one of the rare filmmakers that I can balls out say has never made a bad film in his entire career. And I think a lot of that really just comes to the fact that he did things his own way and didn't take shit from anyone who tried to tell him otherwise.
Absolutely, he is definitely somebody that should be taught in film schools as what to do.
Mhm.
And I love all his early movies, even Bad Biology. Though I'm not the biggest fan, I would rather watch that than a lot of Academy Award nominees.
Yeah.
So there's. I'm just happy that he's still out there and
Mhm.
still around. You know,
Yeah, still out there, still doing his
once in
thing.
a while I'll see him in like a VHS documentary and be like, "Hey, there he is."
Yeah, there's a guy. And I just love the fact that he still has such great energy talking about, and I love the fact he has such a great self-deprecating sense of humor about even his shortcomings. I love the fact that he talks about the fact he's like, I'm the last fucking person who should ever be doing animation, like ever. You know,
Yeah,
talk about that. And it's like I love that he has such a great sense of humor about everything he does, and it really shines through in everything. I mean, even to the fact that he talks about how he stole shots of hookers on the street in Frank and Hooker, where he drives by, just drove by, and then he ended up spooking the hookers because they all thought that it was the cops, and so when they came around again, they were gone.
yeah,
So, and it's like only in a Frank Henenlotter picture are you going to have wild stories like that.
exactly.
Yeah. So with that, so go ahead. So looking to the future of what's in the podcast, we definitely got. We definitely have a lot of great stuff coming up on the horizon. Another thing we do have because it went over so well last year, we are going to be doing horror by proxy month for September again, and we have actually come up with a lineup, which I will announce. Go ahead and announce right now, just because it's kind of a. I'm kind of proud of it because we do have a lot of fun stuff coming around. So let's see. Yeah, it will be The Witches, Adam's Family, and Adam's Family Values, Dark Man, and Ernest Scared Stupid. Those are the ones we'll be tackling for the month of September.
Or awesome movies.
Yes. Well, five, because again, we're talking about Adam's Family and Adam's Family Values together in one episode. Oh yeah, talking about all those. But that is what we got in store there. But and for you, given your repertoire, have you seen anything for the first time, any new or old that you wish to rave to everyone about?
No, um,
No.
I watch a lot of stuff. Lately, I've been rewatching a lot of stuff that I haven't seen in a while. Like Slugs, I rewatched recently.
I
That's a great movie. I mentioned Death Curse of Tartu. If you like your movies with a low budget and shot in the Everglades with real gators because they can't afford effects,
yeah.
great movie. And yeah, I'm constantly watching movies, but I've been watching. I haven't watched anything new that's like blown my mind. I haven't been to the theater in a while.
Uh,
So yeah.
well, yeah, I'll definitely say if you're up for it, if you liked Oddity, I'd definitely say check out Hokum if you when you get a chance. Uh,
I,
that
I've heard that it's really good, so I really want to watch it.
Oh, and for everyone,
I-
if you love Basket Case, you have no excuse. Anyone who tells me that they love Basket Case and they don't love Malignant, fuck off.
no comment.
Oh, come on, Malignant's genius.
I wouldn't go that far, but it's not.
It's a basket case remake I didn't know we wanted. I didn't know I wanted. It was great. It was genius. I love it.
Oh, it's. I'll
Um,
give you that.
huh?
It's a lot of fun. I'll give you that.
It is fun. Anyway, but no, that's not my random recommendation. I already did a whole episode on Malignant. Anyway, no, my random recommendation, I already alluded to it, but I literally just watched it today and I freaking loved it. I finally sat down to watch Teeth.
Oh yes, great movie.
Yes. I that was a movie that I stayed away from for so long because of the reputation that was unjustly foisted on it. Everyone kept making it out like it was a big old like symphony of dick capitations. And I'm like going, only two dicks really get bitten off during like the course of the movie, really, but
Who the hell gave?
three actually, three dicks. But even then,
Yeah, I'm kind of confused. Who gave you these reviews?
a
Because
bunch of basically a lot of soft people who very clearly have never seen dicks take it cut off in movies before. It's like, I'm sorry, but after you've watched Cannibal Holocaust, everything else is tame by comparison.
I mean, God, Jesus, have you ever seen "I Spit on Your Grave"?
Oh, yeah.
That's horrifying.
Oh yeah. Well, even then, that was still like technically an off-screen dick
Oh,
decapitation. I mean,
but you feel it.
you feel it. You feel it absolutely. But Cannibal Holocaust, you see
Yeah,
the dick.
that one
Yeah,
you
yeah. You see the dick get
have
cut off.
Ferox too. Yeah,
Oh yeah, Cannibal Ferox as well,
that's
which
a neck mutilations. Yeah.
yeah. But Teeth, first off, I was already on board with this movie with the first scene with Dawn with her teacher, and you see the teacher terrified to say vagina, and the book's opening up, and that the picture of the vagina. But everyone's like, "But you showed a picture of the dick," and I was like, "Oh my God!" I immediately know exactly what this movie's talking about. It's going to be great, and it worked for me just all the way through. I just kept being blown away. But I would put this in the same camp as movies like Ginger Snaps and Jennifer's Body, like in that same camp.
No, no, I agree. I mean, it's a great movie. It's got. I love that she at first is terrified of her condition, but
Mhm.
as the movie goes on and like she gets other partners, she kind of grows more confident and knows how to use it for her, advantage and stuff. Not advantages, like she. The people who get it deserve it. Let's just leave it at that.
Precisely, but the thing that would have made me sad is that she was cursed, where she could never have any intimacy with anybody. But I love how they point out that when she becomes more confident with her body, I love
Oh,
how she's able to control it and she's able to enjoy sex. But I love the second she finds out that that guy was only doing it just on a bet. I was like, oh, snip it right now. Oh no, give him the far-sighted circumcision right now.
nah, it's awesome. It's probably. Are there any other vagina dentata horror movies that I can think of?
Not that I know of, but I
I
definitely know
thought
I
Japanese.
def, I know there was a shit ton of sexploitation talking vagina movies, but I mean like Chatterbox, but I mean apart from that,
You mean singing vaginas?
yeah, the singing vagina ones too as well, you know.
No, I can only think of a Japanese one that's called Killer Pussy from the 90s. Uh,
Yeah.
but other than that, yeah.
I mean there's Killer Tongue which starring Melinda Clark, which is a freaking great movie, which has a sentient tongue like grows so long that it actually pleasures Melinda Clark. It's which I don't know if you've seen that one, but that one's pretty wild.
I saw it in the 90s and I haven't seen it since because I can't find the.
It's
It's
on
on.
Tubi.
Oh, it's on Tubi. Oh, perfect. Then I'll have because
Yeah, it's on Tubi under the alternate title. It's on Tubi under the alternate title of Tongue Girl.
I have to check it out then because I saw it in the 90s and really enjoyed it. But it's one of those movies that I can't find under a decent price because it's out of print.
Yeah,
Uh,
but no, that's where I found it. It's yeah. If you look up Tongue Girl on Tubi, that's where it is. I first heard of it because In Search of Darkness recently spotlighted
yeah,
it.
it's such a darkness. When I saw it, I was like, man, Killer Tongue. I haven't thought that movie in years.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. I love it. All
Yeah.
right, everybody. So that is it. Stay tuned. Next week, we are continuing on our discussion on lesbian vampires with Daughters of Darkness. And then we are going to wrap up the month of June to honor Father's Day. We are going to tackle The Stepfather. Oh, yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah. I love that Terry O'Quinn. So thank you all for joining us for our 150th episode. Jorge, thank you once again. And we'll definitely do this again at a later time.
Sweet.
And for everyone else, if you wish to for everyone, stay tuned for the month of November, where Jorge and I, for our James Bond podcast, Grow Up 007, where Jorge and I did an incredible episode on Her Majesty's Secret Service.
You're too kind.
Yeah, no, it was an excellent episode. I loved it. It was so good. I had a great time cutting it together, and I can't wait for everyone to see it. So for that, look forward to that. And if you wish to delve into the dark bowels of human imagination, ask yourself the simple question: what's in the podcast? It's the 150th episode, and I botched that. I can't believe it.
You did okay.
Okay, you too, Con.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of What's in the Podcast. If you find yourself hungry for more deep cuts into the gloriously morbid and macabre, you can also find us on TikTok, Blue Sky, and YouTube at Narcotic Casserole. You can also follow us on Instagram at Narcotic Casserole 25. Follow us if you dare.